Mr. Trump said yesterday that your name is very high on his list of people he's considering as a running mate. Would you be ready on day one to serve as commander-in-chief if necessary?
Well, I think if you're going to step into that job, it's obviously the toughest job, the biggest job, not just in our politics, but really, frankly, in the world. Look, I think that I would have an ability to step in. I'm actually pretty intelligent.
Tim Scott, he just talked about your mama. Welcome to Street Politics. My name is Reese Waters. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the page. Now, you guys all saw that Blacks for Trump event out in Detroit. Huh? What's that? What? Tim Scott walked up on Byron Donalds? Oh, because he mad he didn't get invited to the Blacks for Trump. Oh, snap. Wait a minute. They having a shuffle off right now? Tim Scott versus Byron Donalds? Oh, I'm going.
One at a time, murders in Milwaukee are down 39% since last year. And the Trump campaign's own election investigator in 2020 said that Wisconsin's results were legit. So if Mr. Trump feels so strongly that Milwaukee is a horrible city, why is he having his convention there?
Well, two things. First of all, when you bring these comments up, please bring them in context. I'm glad that you mentioned what the campaign said afterwards, but I noticed that your network and a lot of the press are not doing that. With respect to Milwaukee, he was talking about allegations of voter fraud and also the crime rate. And I think it's important for people to understand your murder rate may be down, but that doesn't mean that violent crime, etc., are also lower. Those are two different pieces of crime. Obviously, murder is the most heinous of them all.
Byron Donalds. Which one is it? Which one is it? You tried to just outright lie and say it had to do with election fraud, but you just had to throw in the crime, didn't you? You just had to throw in the crime. So when people say that another city is a horrible city, why do they say such a thing? Typically got to do with crime, right? Oh no, he's not saying it was horrible. It's just the election stuff. And also the crime. Really? Really? Oh, so Byron Donalds, if you weren't talking about the murder rate, then what kind of crimes were you talking to? We know that Milwaukee's fine when it comes to the violent crime, but we're more interested in all that white collar crime that y'all got going on in Milwaukee. You know, all the tax fraud and whatnot that we like to crack down on now, all of a sudden, because they cracked down on me.
Respected law enforcement. Under Joe Biden, we've seen the movement to defund the police, leaving communities like the one I grew up in devastated and ravaged by a wave of violent crime that we have not seen literally in 5 decades.
Actually, Senator, as you probably know, the latest stats on violent crime and on the murder rate, they're actually down this past year. But let me get back to my question about the Supreme Court's decision.
Well, let's take a look at let's take a look at those crime rates. We've seen over 4,000 shootings just in the city of Chicago. We've seen a spike in violent crime. It's nice to see something plateau, but the fact of the matter is simple. Under Joe Biden, neighborhoods like the ones I grew up in have never been ravaged. Grandmothers,
but back
like
to
the one that raised me, are trapped in their houses from the time the sun goes down until it comes up again.
Oh, it is a tried and true MAGAism. Are you going to believe me or your lying eyes? In this case, the lying statistics. He literally gave you the statistics, and Tim Scott's just going to double down. Well, you look at Chicago. Y'all, Chicago come out of your mouth more than drill rappers. By the way, murder rates in 2024 are actually on track to be at or below what they were every single year of Donald Trump's presidency. This is based on observed decline so far this year. And more than 75% of Americans still believe that crime is increasing. You know why? Because Tim Scott and them keep going on TV and saying it's so. We live in a post-factual world. We actually live in a post-factual society. And by the way, recently the FBI released statistics that after a dramatic decline in 2023, crime was down again in the first quarter of 2024. Murder and rape down over 25%, robbery down over 17%, and property crime down 15%. So those are the facts, despite what your shuffling tells you. And naturally, given that crime is down, that means that the Supreme Court should, what, go ahead and increase the violent capacity of weapons. Tim Scott?
So to my question, though, on bump stocks, would you now favor a Congress acting to ban bump stocks? You had said after that shooting in Las Vegas that if the vote came up, it would sail through Congress. So are you in favor of that ban right now?
Well, I'm strongly in support of the Second Amendment, but what we're going to do in the party, and
I asked about the ban on bump stocks, not the Second Amendment.
We're going to focus on the priorities of the American people. And what the priorities of the American people are today is to focus on closing our southern border. Under Donald Trump, we had a precipitous drop in illegal border crossings. Under Donald Trump, under Joe Biden, we've seen an explosion. 10 million illegal immigrants have invaded our country, leading to migrant crime that we just saw just yesterday.
Okay.
A mother of 5 killed by an illegal immigrant. So what the focus will be is on the safety of the American people. That starts with focusing on our southern border.
Tim Scott, I'm going to have to take away points. That was absolutely, totally inelegant. That was totally inelegant. You didn't do no spin. You didn't do no killer crossover. You didn't hit him with a Tim Hardaway or an Allen Iverson. You just ran straight into the block and tried to bowl the interview over. You actually did bowl the interview over, and it's that kind of behavior that's going to get you blocked. It's that kind of behavior that's going to get you in the ban list. They have no reason to bring you on in if you're not going to answer none of the questions, Tim. You have been a politician far too long than to be that inelegant. I mean, I'm sure Byron Donalds could top that.
Ask you about specifically what we've been hearing from Republicans and from Donald Trump, claiming the Democrats are illegally weaponizing the Justice Department against Mr. Trump. Why is it appropriate for Donald Trump then to call for prosecuting his political opponents, including President Biden?
Well, let me also explain this one. Now, what he did say is that we have always had this kind of a gentleman's agreement that you do not go after the political leaders of the opposition party. When Donald Trump was president, he didn't have his attorney generals go after Hillary Clinton when she did violate the Espionage Act. He did not give that order. They did not go and prosecute Hillary Clinton. But now you have a situation where Main Justice has weaponized the Justice Department to go after Donald Trump. You have Jack Smith, who's chasing down Donald Trump on violating the Espionage Act, but at the same time, Robert Hur knows that President Biden has violated the Espionage Act. Robert Hur is not prosecuting Joe Biden. Jack Smith is trying to prosecute Donald Trump.
Let me interrupt briefly, though. The Biden Justice Department obviously is also prosecuting Democrats. Robert Menendez of New Jersey, Henry Cuellar of Texas right now. They just prosecuted Hunter Biden as well. So is it only weaponization when it is Republicans that are being prosecuted?
That's not true, and that's not even the same thing we're talking about here. What you got to understand is
they prosecuted both Democrats and Republicans. So I think Americans would say, isn't that equal justice? Bob Menendez has gold bars with his name engraved on them from a foreign country. So that's what Bob Menendez's situation is. Henry Cuellar's situation just got into investigation. But it is without a doubt that these legal cases were all brought in the middle of a presidential election for one purpose, and that is to criminalize Donald Trump, that is to polarize Donald Trump, that is to persecute Donald Trump. That's the only reason why you even bring these cases in the time frame that they're being brought. And again,
that's how it's done, Tim Scott. That's how it's done, Tim Scott. That is the kind of flimsy trash argument that I would expect from somebody trying to be Donald Trump's VP. That was downright Trumpian, just filled with contradiction and bullcrap. Like, that is what I'm talking about. The fact that he dismissed the Menendez prosecution because of how obvious all of the evidence is, when all of Trump's evidence has been for all the world to see. Like, it's literally littered the timeline with all of Trump's evidence, but it's not the same thing because Menendez had gold bars with his name engraved on them. That is what I'm talking about, Tim Scott. I'm gonna need you to step your game up because that was a very strong tap dance by Byron Donalds. And in fact, he's gonna start us off the next round.
You about some policy issues as they relate to Mr. Trump. This week, Mr. Trump floated the idea of getting rid of the federal income tax and replacing it with an all-tariff policy. Many economists say that that would help the rich and that it would hurt middle and lower income Americans. In 2021, Congressman, you praised America as a beacon for free and fair trade throughout the entire world. So wouldn't the president's idea hurt tens of millions of Americans?
Well, let me be direct about trade policy. For a lot of our country's history, trade policy has not been written to the best interests of the American people. A lot of these trade policies have favored foreign countries. I believe in free trade, but it has to be fair trade. The deals have to be equitable. The deals that were written in the past, previous administrations, were not equitable to the American people, to the American companies.
So Donald
that's
Trump's
the type of thing
proposing
that has to be shifted.
an all-tariff policy.
Now,
If you believe in...
Now, hold on a second. Let me finish.
Yeah.
Let me finish. I'm going to come to the policy. Now, what I will say is that President Trump is thinking through all types of various policies to jumpstart our economy, to make sure that we have a flourishing and thriving America. It's an idea. It's not concrete yet. A lot of things have to be flushed out. I was in the room when this was brought up. I talked with several of my colleagues who understand tariff policy, trade policy, and tax policy in a lot more detail than I do. They said there's some merit to it, but there's some other things that have to be worked out. You also have to figure out how to deal with the taxation piece for people on the low end of the socioeconomic spectrum.
So to be clear, these are just ideas you're suggesting.
This isn't to protect all Americans.
This isn't a real proposal that he's looking to implement right now. We should note that under Donald Trump in his 4 years in office,
there are many ideas that the president is thinking through, all designed to make sure that America thrives and that the American people thrive.
The debt rose by $8.4 trillion when Donald Trump was in office. And also the Fed chair, who Donald Trump himself selected, has said this week that the economy is growing at a solid pace and we have a strong labor market. I want to ask you, if I can, about that a little bit. Wouldn't this policy, though, hurt the very Americans, black Americans, that you were speaking to last night?
I'm very disappointed, Byron Donalds. I am extremely disappointed, Byron Donalds, because it is clear from your response that you are aware of how problematic Donald Trump's tariff flirtation will be for him in this election. It is pretty clear that the association of giving huge businesses and billionaires tax breaks and making the middle class pay for said tax breaks is problematic, and you are owning how problematic it is by virtue of the fact that you are ceding that this is something that hasn't been decided yet. What I would have expected from you is exactly what you just did in the previous question, or what Tim Scott did when he was talking about crime statistics. It is your job to tell us it is raining when it is sunny outside. That is why they bring you out here. It is your job to tell us why this thing that will be terrible for millions of Americans will in fact be in their best interest. They'll eat it up. Tim, I know you can beat that.
So let me ask you about one of the specific policy ideas he floated while he was in Washington. He floated the idea of raising tariffs high enough to be able to eliminate all of the income that comes in from income taxes. Is that, I mean, by some calculations, that's a 70% across-the-board tax on everything imported in the country. Some other estimates, it's nearly 100%. Would you favor a policy like that, replacing the income tax with a massive new tariffs on everything coming into the country?
Well, John, I wasn't in that House meeting. I was in the Senate meeting. But what I can tell you spoke about during the time of the Senate is actually exempting taxation on tips. The working class coalition that is now supporting Donald Trump is supporting Donald Trump because they know, looking back over his 4 years, they were better off under Donald Trump.
Now that's a pro. Now that's a pro right there. Ain't nobody asking about tips. He gonna bring up tips. He gonna bring up some aspect of it where he could try and sell it. That is a pro. We got a game now. We got a game. They squabbling out here now.
Okay, Senator, the day before that violent mob attacked the Capitol, you put out a statement explaining your decision to certify Joe Biden's election victory. Do you stand by that? You were not one of those that challenged the results. You voted to certify Biden's election victory. Do you stand by that?
Certainly, I will stand by that decision and the next decision to certify the fact that Donald Trump will be the next president of the United States. November 5th, the day of reckoning, is coming. The early ballots go out in places like North Carolina starting in September. We're going to focus on making sure that we use every tool in the toolkit to make sure that this election results are clear and profound, and that the American people get 4 more years of low unemployment, low inflation, high enthusiasm, and a president respected and sometimes feared on the global stage. That president will be Donald Trump.
All right, and then very quickly, we're just about out of time, but you had said that Mike Pence absolutely did the right thing when he defied Donald Trump's demand to not certify that election. Do you still stand by that Pence absolutely did the right thing on January 6th?
The Constitution is clear. What we're trying to focus on is how do we make sure we get 4 more years where the American people, particularly kids like me, growing up in poverty, have the best future we could possibly have.
Senator Scott, thank you.
Version of the American dream. That takes Donald Trump.
Senator Scott, thank you very much for being with us here this Sunday. Thank you very much.
Thank you, John.
He landed the vault. Oh, he landed the vault. He did the full shuffle, the full sachet. He did the Ray Lewis. Oh, he pulled every move out of the toolkit. That was solid. That was a solid shuffle job. That was a solid shuffle job. Yeah. I would give him an 8.3. I would give him an 8.3. Yeah. All right, Byron Donalds, what you got for us?
How can a black person get ahead when you have less disposable income today than you had in 2017, in 2018, in 2019? This is what a lot of the black business owners that we talked to yesterday in Detroit were explaining to the president.
Let me try to get to a couple other topics. The lowest unemployment rate for black Americans under Donald Trump was 5.3%. The lowest under Joe Biden was 4.7%. Mr. Trump said yesterday that your name is very high on his list of people he's considering as a running mate. Would you be ready on day one to serve as commander-in-chief if necessary?
Well, I think if you're going to step into that job, it's obviously the toughest job, the biggest job, not just in our politics, but really, frankly, in the world. Look, I think that I would have an ability to step in. I'm actually pretty intelligent. I can sift through issues really, really well. It's about judgment. It's about logic streams. It's about how you make decisions at the end of the day. And then you cannot discount the fact that you would have a lot of people who are very qualified to be around to help you do that job and do what's in the best interest of the American people. Do I believe in myself? 100% I do. And so, we'll see what President Trump decides. I'm going to support whatever he does.
Congressman Byron Donalds, we appreciate you making time to speak to us today. Thank you very much.
Tim Scott, he just talked about your mama. He just talked about your mama, Tim Scott. He just got up there and said, I think I am very intelligent. Who you think he was talking about? Huh? Who you think he was talking about? Because he might as well say, as a matter of fact, didn't he say I speak clearly? I put words together very well. Didn't he say that in a previous interview?
I am, obviously one of the better communicators in the Republican Party. I know how to put words together. I do it very, very often.
Oh, he talking about your mama, Tim Scott. Oh man, I gotta give it to Byron Donalds. That was a knockout in the 12th round right there. That was a knockout. That was a knockout in the 12th round right there. They out here dance battling for biscuits, Mortisa, and at the end, just bow, roundhouse. Wow, that was wait. We got one more. Is one more entrant?
Senator Tim Scott, who on August the 3rd will become a father himself. I will tell you in advance, it is the best yet most expensive form of entertainment you can possibly have. So happy early Father's Day to you. Happy Father's Day to your dad.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you for joining us on a Sunday night.
Who let this happen? Who let this happen? I need to know who let this happen. They have taken this entirely too far. All of a sudden, Mindy come out of nowhere. Now my man is going to procreate? I don't want to live in this America. Let me off. Let me